All right, with 2 games to go in the regular season for most of the teams in the NBA, it's now time to put up or shut up. You know what? I'm looking at the Minnesota Timberwolves. First off, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm disappointed in this team this year. Now, don't get me wrong. 4 through 9, 10 in the Western Conference is tight. You know what I mean? Separated by a game or 2. But I literally thought the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Minnesota Timberwolves should be in that 3 spot where Portland is, which is pretty much like they're going to clinch that 3 spot, right? I thought that's where Minnesota would be. Honestly, I thought Minnesota could go over 50, 51, 52 wins this year. They're not going to do that. Jimmy Butler got hurt late, but I still believe Wiggins and Karl-Anthony Towns. If we believe Karl-Anthony Towns is a superstar, and if we believe Wiggins could be an all-star, I thought that was enough to get you through a little 5-10 game stretch, whatever it was without Jimmy Butler. It was not. And this team finds themselves in a very, very dire situation. So they got Memphis next game, and their last game of the season, which is probably going to define if they make the playoffs or not, is against the Denver Nuggets, who are now, right now, number 9. I think the Thunder are going to get in. I think the Spurs are going to get in. I think all these teams are going to get in. It literally just comes down to if Minnesota can defeat Denver at home in the last game of the season. If the Timberwolves want to make improvement, you got Tom Thibodeau as your head coach. You go out and bring in Jamal Crawford, You go out and bring in a Teague. You go get Jimmy Butler, right? If you consider yourselves a contender, you're going to be pretty much at full strength with 1 game to decide if you make the playoffs or not. And from a matchup standpoint, they match up pretty decent with the number 1 seed, the Houston Rockets. You got 1 game to win to make the playoffs. I'm sorry. Tom Thibodeau, he's a better defensive mind than, I'd say he's a better overall coach than Mike D'Antoni, right? Get in the playoffs, you see what happens. I'm sorry. If you're a team that's making improvements, Minnesota cannot not make the playoffs this year. You got to find a way to get in. You got 1 game against Denver at home to make it into the big dance. You got to figure that out. Sorry, Denver lacks a superstar, and Minnesota has 2 all-stars and a possible. Denver has what? 1? None? Jokic didn't make the all-star team. They have no all-stars. Minnesota got to figure that out. You got to figure that out. You got to find a way in the big dance. You cannot not make the playoffs this year. Cannot not make the playoffs. Denver had a way longer stretch without Paul Millsap than Minnesota did without Jimmy Butler. Sorry. You got to figure that out. Minnesota got to find a way to make the playoffs.